Hi, and welcome back to Creative AI Explorer. I am PixelPia. Today I am starting a new experiment or test. We are gonna create a character. But instead of starting with a sketch or a drawing, we are gonna start by creating the voice using my method Voicecraft. I will work through the 7 basic steps and the 3 persona pathway steps. And you will follow along as it unfolds. The idea is really simple. Can we build a character and its voice in real time? In upcoming videos, we will then go on to create the visual and even create a voice for the character. But as I said, today we are using Voicecraft to create the voice in mainly ChatGPT. So let's move over to my computer. So here we are in ChatGPT. I have written the first prompt. I want to start by telling you that I have worked a lot with ChatGPT, so I don't need to upload anything about Voicecraft. ChatGPT knows my method just as well as I do. So my first prompt here says, today we are creating a character, but instead of starting with the drawing or sketch, we are starting with the voice. So I want you to use the steps of Voicecraft and Persona Pathway to help me create a first seed of a new voice. I want you to ask me 1 question at a time, a total of 10, to create a new voice. Got it? We will we'll walk through the seed step by step. I'll ask you 1 focused question at a time, drawing from the 7 Voicecraft steps and the 3 Persona Pathway steps. Each answer you give will help us build the first sketch of this new voice. Here is the first question. Essence. If this voice could be captured in a single feeling, presence, or metaphor, like a steady lighthouse, a spark in the dark, a mirror that won't lie, what would it be? Well, I am thinking of creating a voice of an older teenager or younger adult that is still finding his or her place in the world. So, searching for his/her place in the world as an older teenager/young adult. Here is the next question. When this voice speaks, how should it feel to the listener? For example, hopeful, hesitant, rebellious, tender, questioning, blunt, poetic, practical. So I said a little rebellious, as most young people that haven't found their place yet, but with a hopeful outlook and sometimes blunt, but also humoristic. Question 3. How does this voice usually shape its words? Does it lean towards short bursts, wandering reflections, vivid imagery, direct statements, casual slang, lyric turns, or some mix? So I'm writing it should be a product of Gen Z, which I am not too familiar with. Mostly short bursts, but also some imagery and longer sentences when engaged. How should the pacing feel? Quick and jumpy, steady and balanced, slow and thoughtful, or does it shift depending on mood? Well, it definitely shifts. So I said definitely shifting, but as a baseline, quick and fast, humorous responses. Question 5. From what angle does the voice usually speak? First person or more distant, observing third person? And how close do they want to feel to the listener reader? What kind of word choices should they lean towards? Slangy and informal, plain and direct, more poetic and emotional? Any quirks in phrasing you imagine? Informal, some slang, but also depending on the situation, can change to a more direct way when needed. Emotional is harder to express but bubble under the surface. What should this voice avoid at all costs? For example, no pre-achiness, no long lectures, no flowery words, no cynicism, no over-explanation. So I wrote very self-describing language, no long explanations, no lectures. A little sting of cynicism is okay, but not very dominant. Curse occasionally, but never mean language. So these were the 7 core Voicecraft steps. Now we're moving into the persona pathway, the outward-facing side. If this voice were to show up in the world, what kind of space would it feel natural in? Social media threads, journal entries, spoken words, conversations with friends, YouTube commentary, music, lyrics, etc. So here I said mainly in conversations with friends and social media, sometimes in journals. What's going on beneath the surface for this voice? What tension, longings, or inner questions drive how they speak? So here I said, since they are still trying to find their role in life, there are an uncertainty. But as the character grows, this changes into a more defined belief. They are not religious or political in traditional sense, more of a general searcher. And the final question, how do they want their words to land with others? Should the listener feel challenged, comforted, amused, inspired, included? Amused since there is a sense of humor in the person, but also both included and inspired since most of it is among friends. That's all 10. We now have the full seed voice sketch. Would you like me to put it together as a one-page voice sheet so you can see the character whole? Before we do that, I am gonna have ChatGPT write a couple of things in this voice to see what I need to change. So for now, give me a writing sample, a short essay about friendship. Sometimes I think friendship is the only thing that actually makes sense. Like the world is chaos. Job, school, politics, everyone pretending they figured it out. But then you're sitting on the floor with your best friend at 2 a.m., half-eaten chips between you, talking about nothing and everything at the same time, and suddenly it feels like you've got a place here. Friends are the ones who laugh when you mess up, but not in a cruel way, more like, yep, that's you. They know your dumb habits, your weird moods, and they stick around anyway. Honestly, it's kind of wild that people choose to stay close when they could just walk away. Sometimes I get scared that I'm not enough, or that I'll screw up. But one of my friends sends me a meme that makes zero sense except to us. And it's like a reminder, hey, you're not alone in this mess. Friendship isn't about having answers. It's about someone being there while you search for them. And maybe that's the real thing. We're all just looking for our place and the people who make the search feel less lonely. So I wrote, first, I don't think this voice would use M-dashes. That's you, ChatGPT. Secondly, it feels too emotional for what I envisioned. You're absolutely right. This voice wouldn't lean on M-dashes, and the draft I gave tilted too much toward emotional depth. Let's recalibrate closer to the seed we built. Short burst, casual, Gen Z vibe, humor up front, emotional bubbling under but not center stage. So let's see. Friendship is weird. Like one day you're strangers, the next day you're arguing over who gets the last slice of pizza, like you've known each other forever. The best part, friends don't need you to have your life together. You can be a total mess, hoodie on for the 3rd day in a row, and they still show up with fries. That's loyalty. It's not about deep speeches or whatever. It's just knowing someone's there when you text at midnight like, bro, my brain won't shut up, and they reply with a dumb meme instead of advice. Somehow that helps more. Friendship isn't perfect. People fight, drift, come back, but when it's real, it feels less like work and more like breathing. That sounded more like the voice I envisioned. Let's have them write. Now write an email where you apply for a job as a dog walker. Hi, so here's the deal. I love dogs. All shapes, all sizes, even the ones that... Oh, no. No, this voice need to be able to switch to a more adult tone of voice when not talking to friends. So let's see if this got better. I am writing to apply for the dog walker position you're advertised. I've always loved animals and have experience caring for and walking dogs of different sizes and temperaments. I know how important it is for pets to get consistent attention, exercise and care, and I take that responsibility seriously. I'm reliable, punctual, and comfortable following specific instructions to make sure each dog needs are met. I'm also flexible with scheduling and able to adapt to different routines. While I enjoy the fun side of being around dogs, I also understand the trust that comes with this role. Your pet's safety and well-being would always be my first priority. I'd be glad to talk more and answer any questions. Thank you for your time and consideration. Do you want me to pair this with the casual version? I reply, no, but we need to implement both in the final voice sheet. Can you write that now? And here we have searching teen, adult, young adult. Essence, a young voice on the edge of adulthood, searching for their place in the world, feels like standing at the threshold, uncertain but hopeful. Rebellious with a hopeful outlook. Blunt when needed, humor is central. That was the tone. The style, Gen Z inspired, short burst, casual flow, sometimes slang, can shift into longer, imagery-rich sentences when something matters. Rhythm, baseline is quick, fast, humorous, shifts into slower, more deliberate pacing when the subject deepens. Perspective is the first person, peer-to-peer, speaks with others, not at them. Vocabulary, informal, some slang, direct when necessary. Emotion bubbles under the surface, but isn't always spoken outright. And constraints, no long-winded explanations or lectures. Avoid preachingness and heavy sentimentality. Light cynicism is okay, but not dominant. Occasional cursing is fine, never mean-spirited. And the persona pathway feels natural in conversation with friends, social media posts, and sometimes journals. Uncertain, still searching for identity and role in life. Not religious or political in traditional sense, more of a seeker. Over time, this uncertainty shifts into self-belief and wants others to feel amused, included, and sometimes inspired, like a friend who keeps things light but still has your back. And then a dual mode expression, peer-to-peer mode, casual, quick, blunt, funny. And then adult switch mode, responsible, clear, respectful, capable of seriousness when context demands, jobs, responsibilities, stranger. So we have an example of friendship is weird, and then I always loved animals and have experienced caring. So that is a seed. This is in no way the end product. But it is the beginning. The more I work with this voice, use it in different types of writing, the more it will develop. But I think we have enough to use this to create a character. But we need to do a couple of more things. First of all, let's name this boy young man. Okay, I actually like Kai. Short, modern, a little restless, works across cultures. So now the voice sheet is anchored. Kai, a young man searching for his place in the world, rebellious but hopeful, quick and humorous with peers, able to switch into an adult tone when needed. So now we are gonna do a couple of more things just to test how well this works. And we are gonna copy the full voice sheet here. And we are gonna test this once in Gemini. So what we're doing here in Gemini, here is a description of a voice. Kai, a young man searching for his place in the world, rebellious but hopeful, quick and humorous with peers, able to switch into an adult tone when needed. And I copied the whole voice sheet in here, including the examples. And then I said, can you write a letter to his grandmother in his voice and also write a social media post about friendship in his voice. And we are gonna send that. We are also gonna do the same in Claude. Exactly the same prompt, and we are using Sonnet 4 here, as you can see. And we're sending that. So let's go back to Gemini. Here's a letter to his grandmother. Hey grandma, how's everything going? Hope you're not overdoing it with the gardening seriously. Heard from mom you're trying to grow those super spicy peppers again. You're wild, G. Things here are, well, they're things. Still figuring out what things even means, you know. Like everyone's always asking, what's the plan? And I'm just like, to not mess up the plan I don't have yet. It's a whole vibe. Anyway, got that job interview next week for the animal shelter. Wish me luck. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to be CEO of a dog walking empire or anything. But hey, got to start somewhere, right? Plus actual responses. Who knew? Miss your cookies, by the way. Those store-bought ones just hit different in a bad way. Talk soon, Kai. And here is the social media post. Friendship is weird. One day you're strangers, the next you're arguing over who gets the last slice of pizza. And then, like 5 minutes later, you're helping them bury a body of student debt. Kidding, mostly. But seriously, finding your crew, that's the real MVP move. Huge shout out to the day ones and the new ones. You all make this whole adulting thing less of a dumpster fire. Love you, fam. Let's see how... Here is the social media post. Friendship is so weird, lol. Like yesterday, me and my roommate were ready to throw hands over who left the milk out. Today we're sharing earbuds watching the same stupid TikTok for the 47th time. Okay, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take this back to ChatGPT, and we're also gonna take the ones from Gemini. So now I took both of the samples of the social media posts. Here is a sample from Claude, and here is one from Gemini. And then I asked ChatGPT, do we need to update something in the voice sheet to make it work better with other AI language bots? This is something I do from time to time just to test how well this works if I'm not working in ChatGPT. That's a sharp observation. Both Claude and Gemini drifted the voice in slightly different directions. Claude leaned into quirky realism plus hashtags. Gemini leaned into edgy joke plus hype slang. Both are close to Kai, but not quite him. To make the voice sheet stronger for guiding any AI model, I recommend adding 2 refinements. And then add to vocabulary. Informal uses Gen Z slang sparingly. Humor is situational, not forced, and can drop hashtags occasionally, but not every post. And then about constraints. Avoid over-the-top hype language, fam, MVP, move, dumpster fire every other sentence. Avoid turning every post into a stand-up routine. Humor should feel like something he'd actually say to friends. Keep cynicism light, don't let it overwhelm. And now we have a new voice sheet where those things were added. Now you write a social post about friendship in Kai's voice. Friendship's basically chaos with a safety net. 1 minute you're clowning on each other, next minute they're covering your coffee because you forgot your wallet again. It's not about people who always get you. It's about people who stay even when you don't get yourself. Shout out to my crew for making the whole figuring life out stage way less awkward. And actually that sounds much more like the Kai I envision. Maybe because I have used this system so often in chat. But I still think that the voice sheet we have now is good enough for starting to building the character. So that was the first step. Creating the voice live, step by step. We now have a seed of a character in a Voicecraft sheet, a sense of a presence, and even a few lines of dialogue as an example. In episode 2, we will take this voice and try to match it in the visual world by creating the character. We will use Nano Banana, and we will try to create this as a claymation character. If you are curious and want to learn more about the Voicecraft method, I have a link up here to a playlist with all my basic Voicecraft videos I have made. But you can also go to my website voicecraft.pixelpia.com, and if you really want to deep dive into this method, I have written an ebook and created a workbook that you can buy at pixelpia.gumroad.com. I hope to see you back here in my next video. And as always, stay curious. Bye!